Hello guys, and welcome back to another Taglim Telly video. I hope everyone is well and everyone is safe. I'm on a roll with these things now, aren't I? Anyway, we are back with another video, and as promised from the last one, I am here today to talk about Silo. Silo is an Apple TV series starring Rebecca Ferguson. There are currently 2 seasons, and a third one has been set for renewal, which I'm very, very excited about. It is based off of a book series, and before people crucify me, I don't know anything about the books. I haven't read the books, and I'm not sure if, how accurate the show is to the books, or how, I don't know. All I'm going off is the show. And yeah, it is an extremely interesting concept, and I think that is quite rare in mainstream TV. It's a little bit different in like the more independent film scene, but like in the kind of the mainstream Rebecca Ferguson level films, it can be rare to kind of find things that are a bit more risky, they're a bit more unique, that try and do something a bit more inventive, and I can really, really appreciate that. And this is perfect. It kind of feels everything I want it to really. I just want to say that before I get into it, I want to say that like the set design is absolutely phenomenal. So whoever did all the set designs, I am so like impressed with your work. Whoever was in charge of that and your team, absolutely brilliant. So what is Silo about? So Silo is set in a dystopian future where the outside world is uninhabitable. The survivors of this apocalyptic event live in a silo, which is like this big sort of underground massive dome, essentially. And there are lots of different levels in this dome. There's the up top and the down deep, and then there's the mids. And basically where you're from, whatever floor you're from, is kind of like, it works as a little bit of like a class system. So like the up top are like the lawyers, the judges, the politicians, some high up law enforcement people, people like that. All the higher mids, you have like doctors and IT and stuff like that, and then as you go down, you get farmers, and then you get the down deep, which is like mechanical. And this is where we're introduced to Rebecca Ferguson's character. She plays Juliet Nichols. But anyway, we'll come back to that in a second. And everyone does their part for the good of the silo. So everyone has to do their job. They can get transferred for certain reasons, and you live your life for the good of the silo. So what's interesting is like the world building. So they basically follow something called the Pact, which is like their own holy text almost, like, and it's all their laws, all their culture, and they follow it to like this kind of almost authoritarian degree, which is really, really interesting. And that is it. The Pact is the law. There's no going against it. There's no ifs and buts. The Pact is the Pact. Well, to the average citizen. The law enforcers and the higher ups, like we find in our present system, some people do abuse it and can use it to their own advantage. But anyway, so they follow the Pact, and judicial enforce the Pact. And it's strange because they live in like this very, very authoritarian society where everything's monitored. So like you even like have to ask permission to have children, and then that's done in a certain way. So like, have you got a criminal record? Are you mentally stable? Are the parents genetically able to, physically and emotionally produce a child that will work for the silo? And it's really, really interesting. And they kind of worship the founders, which we're told they're the people who built the silo. And there is like Freedom Day, which is basically like a festival that they celebrate where there was a rebellion where people tried to open up the silo and they were quashed back by the founders. So, there's a lot of like, we say thank God and they say like thank the founders. So the story basically follows Juliet Nichols. She's a woman from the Down Deep, and she has spent most of her life in mechanical. One day she is basically approached by the current sheriff in regards to a series of events that are a little bit fishy. They're a little bit dodgy, and they make the all good, all following sheriff a little bit skeptical about some of what the silo is telling them. And basically Juliet is involved with that case, and eventually she goes on a journey to kind of discover the truth about the silo. The silo is a very shady place, and not all as it seems, and it's very hard to go beyond the plot more than that without ruining it, so I can only really talk about the lore. There's another cool thing about the lore where you go out and clean. So you can say, I want to leave the silo, but in doing so, you have to go out, and you basically go out and you clean. So basically they put you in a protective suit so you can last in the outside world, the toxic atmosphere, for a little bit of time. You go out and you wipe the camera to clean the camera. So they basically got like a surveillance of like what the outside looks like, and they want you to clean it as like a reminder of why it's safe in the silo and why you shouldn't leave. They have like their own functioning society in this silo: hospitals, doctors, farmers. It's really interesting, but like I said, the plot is even more interesting. I just can't go into it as much as I'd like to, because it's very, very hard like not to kind of to ruin it. The pacing is a little slow, and some people didn't like that. There were a few complaints that the pacing was a little slow, but I would honestly say give it a chance. In my opinion, it's interesting enough for it to be a little bit slow paced. I don't believe that everything needs to be an action thriller and everything needs to be super fast paced and cars exploding and everything like that. I do like a bit of character work, a bit of development, and you do get a lot of that. You learn a lot about Juliet. You learn a lot about these characters. There's a massive amount of world building and character building, which I really, really appreciate. Don't get me wrong, the story does move forward. It just takes its time, but I think the payoffs are really worth the wait. The color grading is really, really interesting. So like obviously it's a mixture of the sets and the post-production edit, but like you get like the up top looks a lot more like almost neutral, almost cleaner. And then like you go to like the Down Deep, and it's a lot more. It's got like a greenish, yellowish hue, and then there's areas which look a bit more earthy, because you know they're underground, and it's just cool. It just like adds to the flavor of the environment, and I would highly recommend the show. Anyway, guys, I hope I have persuaded you to watch it, even though I can't give too much away. But yeah, if you want to watch Juliet Nichols, try and discover the truth about the silo and its history, and her past, then give it a watch if you've got the time. Anyway, guys, I hope you're well. I hope you've had a good weekend, as I'm recording this on a Sunday. Take care and peace.